So this is my refrigerator. Let's start from the inside. I've taken a piece of closed cell polyethylene insulation. I stuck it to the outside. I used some gaff tape to seal up the edges, and I also have a piece of closed cell, you can see it, polyethylene foam on the inside, and that's just a bottle of water to help increase the duration of the cycles so that the compressor doesn't short cycle and kill itself immediately. I put a piece of gaff tape folded over itself along the edge of this piece of pink extruded polystyrene foam that's between the freezer compartment and the fridge, again as an air seal. And so when the foam hits up against it, it creates a acceptable air seal. It's not perfect, it doesn't need to be perfect. Back here, again along the sides, it's sealed with the gaff tape, and then back there I intentionally left the piece of gaff tape off so that some cold air can leak out. I found that the fridge was maintaining about 43 degrees even when the compressor was running continuously. With a piece of tape back there. Without it, it maintains 34 degrees perfectly. Kind of. I'll get to that. So I put a fan here, and usually, I just took it out, but usually there's a piece of glass. I put a piece of the closed cell foam in the back, gaff tape, but that's mainly to block airflow from coming up from behind. So that the airflow path, I'm thinking, is down from the fan and then back up from the front, wraps around the front, and then gets pulled back to the fan, rather than just getting pushed down by the fan and then coming right back up in the back. That's not really contributing that much. I'm going to take this out now. So yeah, in the back, let's go around to the back. I've installed a temperature controller to replace this crappy old thermostat. I hate this thing because it really doesn't know what the actual temperature is inside the fridge. It just kind of guesses at it. From what I've read, it takes the average temperature along the sense probe rather than a temperature at a point inside of the fridge. And the sense probe has to be pressed up against the freezer compartment in order to work. And so with the insulation to make the freezer compartment get to actual freezer temperatures rather than slightly cooler than refrigeration temperatures, this thing no longer works. Even when I rerouted the sense lead a little bit, it still just is flaky, so I replaced it with this. You can see back here I did some rewiring. I'm not going to get into that, but yeah, there's the thermostat. There's the thermometer for this near digital thermostat, and then I have a 5-volt power supply for a fan. The fan on the inside. I also have a fan on the outside that's just blowing across the compressor. The goal of that is to hopefully make the compressor run a bit cooler, but really the main thing is to make some airflow across the top here. So instead of heating up the bottom, so it doesn't heat up the bottom of the fridge as much, which it works. I don't know how well that works. Actually, previously I had this here fan just pointing at the back of it, and it was quite consistent temperature on the inside. But yeah, this thing's loud, so I can't have it running all night, otherwise my roommates get mad at me. But yeah, my question is, after these modifications, I have found that the freezer does consistently run at freezer temperatures. However, the fridge, the top rack above the glass, here, let's point it out. In the fridge, up here, on top of the glass, it'll consistently read somewhere in the neighborhood of 29 to 30 degrees, and then down here, it struggles to reach 41 degrees. So that's quite strange to me, because I expected that by putting a fan in and moving more air around, there would be a more consistent temperature rather than a less consistent temperature. What I have noticed is that my food cools down faster, but again, if my food cools down faster, but it's but the food down here will spoil while the food up here freezes, it doesn't seem like a very productive. It doesn't seem very productive.